So here's the continuation of this experiment, and I'm going to paint the door onto this black fabric, and I'm using my metallic paints, and I'm just going to kind of wing it. Since it's my prototype, I'll call it, I'm using a dark brown, and I'm going to use the lighter colors to make the boards. So here I'm just putting some of the lighter color on, and the brown is still wet, so I can blend it. And this is how I make the boards. And I didn't think this would come out that great, but I actually was very happy with the way it turned out. I'm also going to add a white as well for a little highlight, just to see how that looks too. So this is looking exactly the way I had hoped it would. And so I have a little bit of metallic white here too that I just gonna add just to give it a little more dimension. And I was going to add it just at the top of the wood, but I like the way it looked so much that I decided that I'm going to put it all the way down to the bottom of the planks. I just thought it looked really good. It's amazing how much dimension just adding lighter colors gives. So obviously I'm going to have to let that totally dry before I do anything else to it. And I am going to sew beads or buttons onto it for doorknobs. I have to let it totally dry though. So this is the skirt, and here it is, it's totally dry. And I have these round glass beads. I also had, that I'm sewing on, I also had some hinges that I got of all places at the dollar store that are, I think, for scrapbooking, and I thought they'd look really great on this door, but as it turned out, they were just really too big, and they just didn't fit in with the design, so I didn't use it. So here's the base. And this is my color changing light, which I'm super pumped about. I'm addicted to color changing lights. And I had this idea for quite a while, so it's fun to kind of bring it to fruition. So I'm going to glue this on now, the ribbon. And I really like the way this looks. I also wanted to glue a black boa around the outer edge of this. I just didn't like the way it looked. So here's the lady of the hour. And I was hoping to get away with not doing this, but this is velvet, this is black velvet, and I'm going to make her a jacket. And I didn't want to have to do it, but because I'm spending so much time on it, and I was hoping this was something I could make for Halloween and sell. So I was trying to streamline it a little bit, and I thought I might paint something on her body, like to make it look like she's wearing a dress or a jacket, but I decided to just go ahead and do this. So this is a piece of velvet, and for some reason it's stuck together, which makes it really easy to sew this. And I'm basting it because I always do that, and then I'm going to sew it on the sewing machine. So I'm basically making doll clothes here. I did this for other tree toppers that I had made. I made these velvet jackets, and I remember that it's kind of easy, and it is kind of easy actually. It's just a lot of steps, that's all. And I'm trying to streamline it, and I'm not doing a great job. So I just sewed it on the sewing machine, and I'm cutting this out. And for some reason, this fabric, it's silk velvet, which is silk and rayon. And it's just got, the lint is like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. And it's gonna get onto the doll as well. I'll have to use a piece of tape and just get it all off the doll. So I'm cutting it down the middle, and I cut a hole for the head. And before I glue the body onto the skirt, I have to put the jacket on because I won't be able to get the jacket over her hat. So that's why I'm doing this first. Look at all the lint from the velvet. And then I'm going to glue this trim, which is perfect for my Witchy Poo mermaids. It's called Fur Real yarn, and it's just black, tiny yarn that looks like a tiny boa. And I'm putting that around. These are the sleeves, so I'm gonna put that on first. And then I'm going to use this actually on all of the edges, and I'm hoping that that will help to kind of rein in all of the lint that's coming off of this. So I love the way that looks. And I'm going to sew this front together because I want to hide her flesh-colored body. And it's a little hard doing this because usually I would glue the body onto the skirt and then put the jacket on, but I can't get it. Well, actually, I cut the front open, so I would have been able to get it on. Okay, well, see, that's why I'm doing this. I'm learning as I'm going along. I forgot that I was going to cut the front open, so I could have glued her body onto the skirt first. That would have been easier. So I'm using my fabric tack, and I'm going to put this trim around her neck, and I'm also going to put it down the front as well, and I really like the way it looks. So there it is. Looks awesome. So now I'm gonna put glue around the edge of the skirt, and now this part is kind of sloppy, but it doesn't show, so I'm just gluing it onto the top of the skirt. And it's sort of funny because I didn't really like the shape of the skirt until I glued the top on to the skirt, and then I loved it. I loved the shape of the skirt with the top of the body on there. So it's really funny that there she is. I just love it so much. I love the shape of that, the way it flares out. So here's my cauldron, which I showed how to make in a previous video. And that's going to go there, but I'm going to add yet another detail here. I'm going to make this look like flames, like fire. And so I have to sew around this shape. And then after I sew it, I have to turn it inside out, and then I'm going to stuff it. So here I sewed it on the sewing machine. I'm cutting it out. And then I have to cut a hole in the middle because the light has to be able to come through there. So I'm just going to cut a circular hole and then turn it inside out and make sure and poke all of those little points out, which are my flames. I always say that the prototype takes me about 25 hours to make, and then the next 10 that I make take about 2 hours to make. So I'm stuffing this and poking it into all of those little corners, the flames there. And then with my sewing machine, I'm going to sew the ring closed after I do that. And I have to say, I do like the way this looks. So here I sewed it, and it's going to fit right on there, and the cauldron's going to fit on there. So I have to paint it, and I'm using my metallic orange paint that I'm going to, as usual, spread around with my fingers. And then after I get all the orange on there, I have to put a little bit on the backs of the flames as well, on the tips especially, just because those might show when I glue it on. So I just want to make sure that they look orange, if you can see the bottom at all. So once I do all of the orange, I have some red as well that I'm going to do around the edges of the flames and sort of blend all that in. And I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, but I was pretty happy. This is a project that when I first started out, right away I didn't really like the way it was turning out because I didn't like the shape of the skirt. And as I've continued to work on it, I have to say I do really, really like it. I don't know if I'm going to end up making more of these to sell because there's just so much detail and the materials cost. So I don't really know if I'm going to make more of these, but I'm really glad that I didn't throw in the towel on it because I ended up really liking the way this turned out, which you will see shortly. After I paint this, I love the way this looks. So cute. It's like a cartoon flame. And I'm also painting the cauldron, the edge of the cauldron, gold. Just because that's might show a little bit, that edge. I was toying with the idea of painting the cauldron as well, but I kind of liked the way you could see the seam. So that is Angelina fiber, which I talked about in a previous video. So I won't talk about it here, but it looks really great. It looks like smoke. So I'm just glue the flame on. I'm gluing the cauldron on. And then I have to glue the witch on, and I'm going to do that by gluing down the corners of her dress. So she's going to be holding a pumpkin, which I got at the dollar store. I love these pumpkins. I love the size. They weigh literally nothing. And they're perfect for a mermaid ornament, a little Halloween mermaid ornament. So I'm going to glue that on. Look how adorable that looks. And, you know, I was wondering if I should put hair on her, but I actually really like the way she looks right the way she is. I just love the shape of her head with a hat. So I think I'm going to leave her without hair. And here she is, finished with a changing color light. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Happy Halloween.